All right. This week on The Daily Show, we have Lea Turner. She returns after a year of hell for everyone. Lea comes back on The Daily Show and tells us how it is. If you don't know who Lea is, when I first started speaking to Lea, I wanted to get in touch with her because she's seen great big growth. I was like, wow, you've jumped up by a few thousand people. Isn't that impressive? It took us like 3 months before we spoke. By the time I spoke to her, she's at tens of thousands. Now we talk to her and, well, you will find out in this episode just how much engagement she gets. The important thing to know about Lea is she's just self-taught. She did this just by doing it. So every time that she's suggesting something, she's done it, she's eaten her own dog food, she's tried and tested it, and it's either worked or failed, but she knows why, and she's able to tell people. Awesome coach. I'm a huge fan. Friend of mine, friend of GLPro, friend of the podcast, the wonderful is Lea Turner. And we are live! Welcome to another episode of The Daily Show. As you can tell, we're having fun here once again, and thanks for joining us. This week, we have the wonderful Lea Turner return off the Mac. How are you, Lea?
Returning. That's maybe that needs to be my new hashtag.
Oh, returning. I saw you posted out about that, trying to find a hashtag. There were some awesome options.
I think I'm just going to go with keep it simple, though, and just have Lea.
Yeah?
Lea.
I mean, if no one's using it, bam.
No one's using it. I checked. It's because, though, my new branding, my new logo is just a name. So I'm going like full Beyonce.
I'll remember to stop mentioning the second name from now on. That leads us into a really nice place as well. For those people who don't know who you are, give us a little breakdown of what you do.
It's weird because I just do the one thing now because I just quit my other business. I am a LinkedIn coach, so I teach people and companies how to use LinkedIn to gain inbound leads with social selling and content marketing rather than cold outreach.
Bam, you got it fully down as well. Nicely done.
Yeah, there you go. There's my elevator pitch.
So you said you just closed the business down. And a new one started. Well, it's morphed into something else. What's happened there?
Yeah. So I had a transcription business when I started using LinkedIn, and that's why I was on LinkedIn to get more clients for that. But because of the rapid growth that I had on LinkedIn and the sort of appearingly natural aptitude I had for marketing myself on there, I started during the pandemic when work started slowing down with transcription. I started offering LinkedIn coaching because people kept saying to me, well, how have you done it? How have you done it? So I was like, well, if people think they need what I know. So I started charging for it. And that was in end of May last year. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's just kind of snowballed in an absolutely crazy way. And I managed to get, so since October 2019, I have gained 73,000 followers organically. I'm only connected to 18,000 of them. Pretty much every post I put out got like hundreds or if not thousands of reactions.
And it's so quick. It's so quick. If you remember when we first started talking, I think you had like 15,000 followers or something like that.
When we first booked the first show we did together,
because it was like 3 months before we spoke, and then we booked it, and then it was like 3 more months, right?
Yeah, so it was like February, and I think I had like 12 or 13,000, and you wanted to speak to me because that was fast growth. But then by the time we did the show, I more than doubled it. Now I've more than doubled it again.
Now you're doing that weekly.
I hit 50,000. I remember the date. It was the 25th of September. But when you get to that point, it just grows. Like mine got up 2,000 a week roughly now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's just exponential growth. But I guess, with 50,000 connections out there's so many. Like every post has so much potential reach to then bring that in. It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible and amazing that I guess transcription, from my experience, is quite work intensive. You're having to sit there, like when we do any subtitling or anything for videos, it's always the bit that the video editors are like, cool. Then I'm going to go and do that bit.
It's a lot of concentration. For like doing hours and hours of it, I would be working like for some context. When I first started running my transcription business, I was doing 80 to 90 hour weeks. I was working 2 jobs. And so when my son was born, I didn't have any maternity leave because I had, it was just him and I had my business. So I had, I think, 2 weeks off, and then I was back working full time again. And that was like 50, 60-hour weeks, which I did pretty much the entire time I've been a mum.
Wow.
I'm a lone mum, so it's just me and my son. So now, although I'm working, I'm able to work from my phone while I'm doing other things. So I can multitask a lot more. I can do stuff in the evenings a bit better. Obviously, my coaching sessions, I can't necessarily do like multitask while I'm doing those. But generally speaking, it's a better lifestyle in that I'm not glued to my computer for 10 or 12 hours per day.
And also the scalability of it as well. Like, you know, you're able to help a lot of people because you're able to do that one-on-one chat with them. And, you know, I'm someone who's put people from a company through it. It's great. It's fantastic. Like, you know, I'm a full-on recommended, certified by, right? But well, you know, give me, I'll just employ more people. So, but you know, you can help people, an awful lot of people throughout the year by doing these courses. Whereas, how scalable is transcription? At some point, you have to get to the point where you're like, cool, I'm going to get someone else to do it. And well, then are they good? Are they as good as you? Is it the same USP? Have you just changed?
You still have to proofread and check their work afterwards. So it kind of comes down to, you know, if you're charging your client £1.20 per audio minute, which is roughly sort of market norm. If I was to charge that, but then I'm paying my typist a reasonable wage, which I consider like to 80p per minute, which is normal, sort of normal rate, slightly higher than the normal rate actually. Bigger agencies will pay less. But I still have to go back and review their work, and I still have to deal with all the admin. And so when you're actually getting down to it, the profit that you make of somebody else doing it is not that great. It's really not a lot. You would have to scale big to actually be making significant money off that. So while I kept it going, it was just my, in case all of this fucks up, I will and I can just go back and all my clients are still there. And on Monday I went, no, not anymore. I'm making 5 figures a month now. I do not need a little typing business as my backup. I don't need a backup.
But it's incredible. And if we think about it, in less than a year, you're able to drop the actually get rid of your safety net in less than 1 year.
Completely. And you know, I am somebody who for my entire life has worked, like the most I was ever paid in a year was when I was in a job, a salaried position of 25 grand a year. As a self-employed person, I wasn't making that, and I was surviving on a lot less than that. And I am on target to do well over 6 figures in my first year since starting this, which sounds like really a bit like full of myself to say it maybe, but it doesn't make sense in my head. I'm like, in my wildest dreams, I never ever imagined that I would be able to earn or turn over that amount of money. Like for me, a dream job would have been like 40 grand. That would be my aspirations.
I remember when I worked in customer service, which was for an awful long time, and 25 grand. I remember if I made 25 grand, I was probably making more than like my family, you know, most of my family were making. That's like money. Like I'm killing it. I'm wearing a suit every day.
All of my immediate family are minimum wage earners.
Yeah, well, all my family always have been as well. Like, you know, the couple of people who killed it, and those roles aspirational. But see, when 6 figures or something like that was mentioned, it was always a case of just like, sure, that's what other people do. But amazingly being able to do it in something that is kind of just like, okay, so I'm just sort of natural at this and do it. Here's a question. I speak to a lot of businesses who will be like, you're still doing that LinkedIn stuff, Jay. Why does it work? Now you're a shining example of this working, and what we're talking about there, moving from a business which was bringing in, you know, enough to feed you, to a business which is now superseded that to the point where you can close down that safety net. Like, you know, what should businesses be doing? You know, how do they start to lean into this social selling idea?
In LinkedIn, you need to be using your people, not your business. That's key to it, I think. So a lot of people have a business page and they just think, I'll just turn out business content, and actually that doesn't give context, because essentially what you do, for example, the video content marketing, there are thousands of other people on LinkedIn that do what you do. So why am I choosing you? Why am I choosing you and not the other one?
Yeah.
Well, the other one's showing their personality. They're showing a range of skills, but who they are as people. So they've also got videos of them and their kids, running around in the snow, and they're talking about how hard they've worked this week, and they're treating themselves to a wonderful day off with the family.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, that's nice. Seems like a family man. Suddenly I'm more interested in who he is because I've got some context to it.
Sure.
And I think my son's trying to come in. Dex, you can come in, darling.
Hey, Dex, what's up?
Sorry.
Luckily, Dex has an entourage.
Dex has an entourage, and he's just run back up the stairs now because the puppy's chasing him. So you get a glimpse into my real life. Dex, come in. Can you do it quietly? Well, there we go, real life.
There's a perfect example, right? There's nothing more like, being real and being honest.
Wait 1 second. Dex, careful.
Go, we're live. I can still ask you the question. So while Leah's chasing kids, dogs, and the rest of the people in the house out of the room, but that just shows you, right? This is the kind of people you want to work with. I work with people, and I was saying this to someone earlier. Like sometimes you only get to know people once you start working with them. Mm-hmm. Like people save it all until you finally sit down with them for the first meeting. Well, I can only have 50 new meetings a year, 100 new meetings a year. Why save the good stuff there and instead release it? I'm constantly talking to people who are like, hey, Dex.
He's about to make a lot of noise. Dexter, go to your room, please. Because I've asked you to, because I can't have a... No. Dex, go to your room, please, now. No, what was the deal? What was... Okay, you can take those upstairs. Glimpse into the real life of Lea Turner.
Hashtag Lea.
Hold on, let me open the door. Hashtag authentic.
But tell me, if there is one person who's just turned this off and said, like, that's not business, I'm not like that. If someone's just turned off because of that, then I don't want to work with them. Like, that's not someone I want to be near, right? That's
essentially it. I said this in a podcast recently. So it's not about business to business. It's about person to person. And people say, yeah, but. And no, there is no buts. Companies are run by people. And how many times over the years have you done business with somebody that you've met in the pub and you've had a little chat with, and then it's turned into something business-wise? Or you do it all the time now on like the golf course. They'll meet and they'll make friends and they'll have their little buddies and their chats and refer to each other. But the thing is, it's about human connection. And if you can connect with another person, they will remember you and they'll be interested in what you do. Then they'll remember what you do. And then they'll be more inclined to either use your service or recommend your service to somebody else. It's as simple as that. You give context and you give a reason. When you know somebody's why, if you connect with that why, you want to support them. If you're a good person, you want to support them.
It's as simple as that. And there's always someone at the end pressing buy, right? It doesn't just go out into ether. Even when you work in massive corporates and it feels like it is, there's someone there who has to go through and be like, okay, well, this is value. And someone said that,
So when you're talking, so a lot of people say to me about like trying to find jobs on LinkedIn. And actually when I was helping one of my friends recruit, one of the standout, she had about 100 applications for a job for a PA, which was a lot to go through. And I was going through them. And one of them had messaged her LinkedIn account, which I was helping her manage at the time. And I saw this message and she said, I want to see that girl's CV. Because she'd actually messaged, she'd taken the initiative to go to the CEO, send her a message and say, I genuinely love your brand. I know everything. I've read all of your articles. I'm fascinated by you and your journey. And I want to work with you. I believe in what you're doing. And it felt maybe a little bit brown nosy, but obviously we all want to work with people who want to work with us. She unfortunately wasn't quite qualified because
but it got her the next step through, right? It made her fit to the top.
On top of the pile, and she was definitely looked at. She wasn't just dismissed.
Even when she wasn't right for it, just that extra step of doing something. The amazing thing is everyone I speak to in like the industries where it's all face to face and they're not quite understanding this social selling thing, like IT and finance and some of the older industries essentially, is that they all like spend massive amounts on talent. right?
Yeah.
Every one of them are singing and dancing about their CTO or their engineer being the best and their salespeople getting the best people for the job. And then it's all up to, it amazes me that sales targets are built on cool, blah, 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 blah. And that person will call enough people to make that happen.
I'll just let them come to me.
And it's the data. And the thing I remember as well about doing that, because I was that guy, right? I absolutely worked in those companies. I was a lead generator and account manager. And, here's your list, there's your business, go. I'm like, okay, cool. Notes, read everyone's notes in the CRM and call everyone. But the data was always shit. Like it was just, even when it was stuff like the client, from the company I've been in, and like, oh yeah, 2 years ago we spoke to him about that. It was always shite. So you're always calling someone up and being like, Lea, I hear you had the firewall back a couple of years ago, and you're like, nope. And doing that all day, every day. How many times did I miss good opportunities because I'm calling up and being like, did you get firewall right? Did you? And
I've never done a job like that. I would suck at it because I just can't. I can't do cold sales. I can't do hard selling. If someone comes to me and they say, "Oh, I'm not sure," I'm like, "Okay, bye." I'm like, well, I'm not going to convince you. Like, if you want to, I had a guy the other day. He tried. You must have seen it on my Instagram. Who sent me a message, and he was like, basically, what I'm saying to you, Lea, is sell yourself to me. Bearing in mind, he'd already heard me on Clubhouse, seen me on LinkedIn, gone to my website, and found me on Instagram. He knew damn well what he was buying, but he insisted on saying to me, basically, Lea, sell yourself to me. I was like, no, you're all right. I'm not going to sell myself to anybody if you don't want to work with me. Most people that come to me for work, they are jumping at the chance to work with me. They are looking forward to it. They've treated themselves to a coaching session with me, and they've either been saving up and looking forward to it, or they've booked it because they just have seen what I do and they go, she's the one I want to work with. I like what she's about. I like what she's done. She's walking the walk. So if people come to me and they're not sure, I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, but I'm not going to work with you if you're not sure, because you're going to come back and then complain or say it wasn't what you expected, and I can't be bothered with that. I've got a line of people wanting to work, so I don't have to work with people that aren't sure about it.
And the best businesses that I worked in beforehand that were those type of companies that are doing the cold calling would have a marketing team, right, who had these real hard focuses on MQL, marketing qualified leads, right? And a marketing qualified lead was not what you're talking about, right? That was not, it was like they attended a webinar. Like they were there and you've got something to say. They weren't someone coming to you and being like, can I have it? When can I have it? Oh, March. Shit, well, we can't work together. I want it now. Fine, I'll take it in March, right? That's but that's that is what those companies are begging for. Like, and they spend huge amounts of money on things like exhibitions and stands at exhibitions, big 30-40 grand's worth of stuff. And I'm just like, if all you're trying to do is get a load of people to meet your talent at this exhibition. But people don't go to exhibitions because I'm sold to the whole entire time. I don't go to them. Like, for instance, I'm a buyer. I don't go to them. Full stop. You have to catch me somewhere else.
I don't understand that world. I've never done a call center job. I've never done anything about sales, CRMs, marketing, like nothing. Everything I've done on LinkedIn has been a gut instinct. It's been based on my emotional intelligence, my ability to network well with people, my ability to be quite real and vulnerable with people has allowed people to trust me, and so that has built genuine respect and connection with the people that are in my network, and it reels hundreds of people in every single day, and it's amazing. It is exhausting and terrifying and completely overwhelming and lots of other adjectives, but it's incredibly exciting, and I know that I'm doing something that loads of people want to be able to do, but I can show them how to do it. I can. That's the resources, that's the coaching I'm providing. I can teach them how to get past their own barriers and go, you don't have to treat it like a conference center. You can treat it like the pub. You can treat it like the after works drinks. You can treat it like the coffee breakout room. You don't have to be corporate Dave in his suit being checking his watch, wondering when he can leave because he wants to go home to his miserable wife. You don't have to do that. You can have personality, and your personality is going to filter out the people you do and don't want to work with. And like we've about before. You don't end up having to, I don't have to work with people that I don't want to work with. If I get a bad vibe from somebody, I'm like, because I have now the luxury of choosing the clients that I want to work with and saying no to people. And when you get to that point, and you can get to it quicker if you're doing LinkedIn well, you have your personality, much like Jerry Williams, right? Jerry Williams, who runs Smooth Accounting, she's very real on LinkedIn. She's polarizing. Some people absolutely love her. I am in that camp. She is one of my closest friends now. But she really polarizes people. Chris Williams is another example.
Love him.
Your personality, when you're real, you may polarize people, but those people that you don't want to work with filter themselves out very quickly. Yeah. I see black names all over LinkedIn now where people have blocked me because I'm not their cup of tea. But that's fine because my posts aren't for them. No. And I don't care if they don't like me.
And more importantly,
like
and they never were. Right? Your content was never made for them. It was never the idea that you would be posting something to please everyone.
If I take from my content what I am intending for people to take from it, then they're not my target audience. You don't watch a comedian that you hate to sit there and go, I fucking hate this. You pick the ones that you like, right? If you're a Piece of Cake fan, great. If you're a Russell Brand fan, great. You might not like both of them. You're going to be drawn to the one that you like.
Sure.
It's the exact same thing. If they don't like you, fine, don't come to my show. It's not my problem. It's not something wrong with me. I am just not for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing about social is you can just block, you can walk away, you don't have to follow if it's upsetting, you don't do it. So the next question I get asked by people, right, once giving them that wonderful answer, businesses, right, you're going to focus on people. Their immediate fear is like, if I'm going to let this person within my business release their own content, build their own thing, what happens when they leave? Like, is that a waste for them?
No, because as long as they've been doing a good job, they've still been building your reputation, and people are still aware that they've got that reputation. And essentially, every business owner owes it to their staff to be a good boss, to invest in their future. And the same thing as every other bit of training. You are preparing them for their future, whether that future is with you or with another company. So I think they're never going to grow anyway. If you never give them training, they're never going to grow. They're never going to be more of an asset to your business. They're never going to evolve within your own business.
Sure.
It's a chance you've got to take. I saw a quote from Richard Branson that was invest in your staff as if they're going to leave, but treat them so well that they don't want to stay.
Yes.
And I was like, that doesn't obviously work in every case, and it doesn't matter sometimes if someone's determined to go off on their own or go into another job, they're going to.
But I don't think businesses should see that as a failure, because like you say, if you're going to spend money in training, if you're going to spend money saying like, hey, here's how we do anything, especially for those sales and marketing people who want to, right? I also know a bunch of introvert salespeople who would die at the thought, but there's different levels of content of what you can put out. You can still, and those people, to be honest, a little crack in the door to vulnerability would probably be incredibly powerful because, as opposed to someone like me who lives their heart on their sleeve, and I could get deep into it before I get through it, right?
And I just think if you want to promote your business, you need to use your staff, and this is what I try and help businesses do, is essentially use their staff as influencers.
Okay.
Don't hire people that are beyond the company to market your own business.
Yeah.
Get people there, because each of those different people. So I like to liken it to a rainbow. It's so on brand. But if you imagine you've got a company full of different people, right? You've got 7 different colors of people. They're all completely different sexualities, genders, abilities, races, whatever it is. Each of those people has their own personality, their own set of interests, their own set of qualities, and they are going to attract their own tribe of people. If you have a load of corporate Daves in their grey suits, all from the cookie cutter corporate mold, they are only going to attract those other corporate Daves from the cookie cutter. So the more diverse your staff, the more diverse your client base, and the more different people that you will get working with your business. And each of those new clients that comes because of that member of staff are going to be people that like that member of staff, that want to work with your company because they believe in the staff member. And it's a really powerful sort of as a wider concept. Obviously, it's not going to work if you're hiring somebody who works in marketing and you're going to go to their sales department. That's not going to work. But for the smaller companies, to get their brand out there, to get their name known, when you're working, I worked with a company called Obso, and it was really random. They do like automotive parts, but all of their team are on LinkedIn now. They're promoting the company. They're getting the brand known about, and they're connecting with people from the industries they work with. So they're creating that familiarity and selling their stories, like knowing what a company they are to work with. And it's creating this really strong brand awareness and brand identity for them, which is invaluable, really. People want to work, and when you trust a brand, you want to work with them.
But it's no different. The funny thing is, it's no different from the concepts around the cold calling, etc. The difference is I make a smile and I dial and I make 250 phone calls a day like a savage, which used to be me. It used to be horrible, trying to get more call time up and everyone. I've had 2.5 hours call time today. Horrendous. I can't even fathom trying to do that anymore. And I don't think it's because I'm not 20 anymore. I just don't see the point. Like the ROI, I just don't see it, because out of those 200 calls, genuinely, if you had like 10%, if you had 20 conversations, and that's like just got through and being like, hey, Leah, how are you? And you'd be like, yeah, not bad. And be like, do you want my thing? No. Great. One. Right. That's still like just 20 conversations. That's a good metric. If you manage to book 2 meetings out of that day, that's a good metric. So you're looking at like 1%. You're looking at a 1% conversion, and it's almost completely flipped with social selling, because everything, that phone call I made at 3 p.m. to Mr. Jones, and he wasn't there because he was getting a biscuit. That was gone then. That disappeared. Whereas the post I posted at 3 p.m. is there for however long. It can still entice people. It can still entice Mr. Jones in 6 months' time if he stumbles across it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that appeals to me is, because I'm not good at actual like cold selling, is everybody that comes to me already knows what I do. They already know the quality of what I do.
Yeah.
They already want to work with me.
When you start this journey into social selling and you start creating content and trying to think, like, wow, I'm going to post really regularly, like I'm going to try and post daily, or I'm going to try and post however often, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just straight out going out there and stealing people's ideas or stealing people's content. But there is a fine line between taking initiative or taking, inspiration from something and then being able to use your version of that, than just taking ideas and posting them out. So how do you help people get over that line? Or stay within it?
Yeah, so with the clients that I've got, I've never actually encountered a problem where they felt like they wanted to just copy other people's content. Like I find the idea, like, why would you do that? Because for me, my head is full of content all the time, and I find inspiration for content everywhere, all around me. And it's so easy to scroll through LinkedIn and read something and take your own aspect of it. You go at it from your own perspective. You don't need to copy it.
No.
But then I'm also not one for posting like quotes on LinkedIn. I will post famous quotes and things on Instagram sometimes, but I don't do that on LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn, I want to demonstrate my own creative thinking and my own ideas. I don't want to regurgitate other people's ideas, because on LinkedIn, like, people are hiring me for my creativity. And I think I would be totally shooting myself in the foot to just, if you're being paid to be creative, when you're stealing or virtually copying other people's content, you're showing how uncreative you actually are. So it's totally at odds with each other.
And people ask me where the line is, and my simple answer is, you know where the line is. You know where the line is.
If you're dirty, don't do it.
Yeah, we all know, like,
there is life, but when it comes to content,
in business, if it feels dirty, don't do it. I like that.
Yeah.
There's a t-shirt right there. But like, we've all looked over someone's shoulder when we're in school and copied some homework, whatever the thing. We knew that wasn't right. That wasn't ours. Like, you can take inspiration from stuff. I can see a post that you've done and been like, nah, not at all, bullshit, right? And post my own version of it. But even to the point when something's really close to something else, like if I've seen inspiration from Chris Williams, Mike Winnett, whatever, if I've spotted something and been like, love that, I'll literally tag people in it. Like, I'm not stealing then, I'm taking the idea and moving it on and being like, as Mike said, as Leah said, whatever. Because I know how hard it is to come up with a good idea or a half good idea or a somewhat
I
good
just
idea?
think when you're in something like marketing or creating content or creative digital, like whatever it is, when you're being creative, if your job is to be creative for people, then stealing other people's ideas, especially when it's really bloody obvious that you've done it, is just the completely counterproductive. Because I would never hire somebody to be creative for me if I could just steal other people's content and use it myself.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I
I'm
can
with
just
you.
do that myself.
And it just doesn't give you any brand identity as well. And ultimately, at some point, the ideas run out. You're not still like, when you're not coming up with your own thing, you can't constantly take things from elsewhere and get it out there. So I love the idea of investing in people. I love the idea of investing in talent, because it's honestly, I work with so many corporates, and it's a real big mindset of what you're saying. Like, I've seen it work. I can show examples. I can be like, here is someone that I started speaking to, 14, 15 months ago, when I first said, hey, that's growing real quickly. I want to come say hey. And also, which was an awesome decision, because it's been great to become friends with you. But like, what happens if you're investing those talent and they leave? And then I guess the problem is then seeing that elsewhere, right? Seeing that momentum that you've started. I can understand it can be a chagrin, but that's the same idea of saying, like, don't train people then. don't give them any training, let them walk in and do the best they can, and don't
or just
spend any
hire
money.
more carefully and have stricter contracts in place that limit them, or makes them pay back what you've invested in them, or something like that. Like, I don't know personally, if my own PA, I have empowered her so she's very good at creating like reasonably basic websites, not anything particularly advanced, but she can create websites.
Sure.
And she's also very good as a copywriter. And so I've had other people say to me, oh, can I borrow Naomi? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, let Naomi do it. I want her to be able to do other things. I want her to explore what she's capable of. I want her to go and try other things. I want her to stay with me, but I know that she's probably better than being my PA or my executive assistant or whatever. I think she's so good that she could be running her own business, doing whatever she wants to do. And so I know that by not trying to assert my possession over her, because that's not the kind of person I am, I want to empower her to do her own things, and I want her to stay working with me because she wants to, not because she has to. And essentially that's what I'm like in all areas of my life. I don't want to work with people because they have to work with me. I want them to want to work with me. Same with relationships, same with everything. I never want to feel like I'm caging anybody or they're obliged to me in any way. And it's tough because I know that I'm investing a lot of time, and I've got a really good relationship with Naomi. Sure. And there may come a time that she's going to go, actually, do you know what? I'm so confident I can earn more and do all of this. And I will watch her fly, and I'll say, do you know what? I helped do that, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And essentially, that's how you should feel with your employees. If you've trained them and you've empowered them to go off and create something great for themselves, then you've done a really good job. It hurts. It's a bit shit to go, oh, well, I did all of that stuff for them. But also, you did all of that stuff for them. You changed their life.
Exactly. So, and it just proves that, like, what you're trying to do with training people is obviously very good. How you're onboarding people is obviously very good when they go on and do something else. We've been really
confidence in them that they can go and do that for themselves. That's pretty amazing, isn't it, really?
Yeah. We've been really lucky to have a bunch of people work for us and then move on and start their own things, and we get to still work with them. One of our guys recently has just started this massive Kickstarter campaign, which was funded hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds, all based around Star Wars. It's super cool. Oh, it's super, super, super cool. And it's just so good to see that. Like, I love messaging in that and like clicking on it and like, bidding on it or whatever you call, and just being like, that's amazing. And I feel really loads of pride of it, but businesses do have to know that there is a chance people are going to move on after you've built this kind of outside momentum, and it will be a bit of a kick in the nuts, but it is what it is. Like, it's the same if you've brought a technical person on and you've put them through a whole technical certification thingamajiggy, and then they leave. Like, they're going to go and get a better job because they're now certified. It's the same thing.
Don't you tend to have a contract that binds them to working with you for a couple of years after they've qualified?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to work with surveyors, and they used to put their apprentices through training, RCS certification, everything. And once they got qualified, they were tied into a contract for at least 2 years, or they would have to pay back the training money, which obviously would be prohibitively expensive. So they would get at least 2 years, and hopefully then they would stay on longer. But they didn't always. That's just what it was. And they taught me the foundations of business, and allowed and supported me to go and make my own business. I think when it comes back to LinkedIn, yes, if you allow your staff, and you almost are paying your staff and training your staff to grow their own network, to empower them and to connect them with many more opportunities and many more people, yes, they might leave. But you will use that strong network and that strong brand reputation that they have helped you build to hire people to replace them.
Exactly. And also
what to draw on.
Exactly. And ultimately as well is that, c'est la vie. People do fantastically. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of getting out there, and people know that you're going to be running people through this mill. I think it's, it can be a hard thing to understand, because it feels like, training's very quantifiable. I put them through this thing and they leave, and then we're going to stay for that long. It's very quantifiable. Doing what we're talking about and empowering people to almost build their own brand is a new concept. And I understand why they get, it's, that's a lot of money, or like, what if we're going to put time and effort into what's the benefit? And the benefit is, show me the cost of a great influencer who knows your business through and through, that you can get outside and will work with you every day.
So this is the thing. So I did my Shield analytics. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but I did my Shield analytics. So it analyzes all your engagement on LinkedIn.
No, I've been looking for one. So Shield, is it a third party?
Yeah, I've got, it's on my profile, actually. There's a 10% discount thingy on my profile, and it shows you. So I got 23 million views on my content, and I didn't post every day. That was like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
In 2020, 23 million views on my content, and in quantifiable money, that would have cost over £150,000.
Nice. Exactly. If you go to an influencer, if you go to one of the big agencies where they're finding influencers, you don't get out of bed unless it's like 40k a month.
No, and my profile's viewed like 100,000 times every 90 days, if not more than that.
Yeah.
So I know that not everybody is going to do it on that scale, but it is not abnormal to get 5 or 6 million views on content if you're posting on a daily basis and you're building your network up gradually. You can easily get like 2 to 5 million views on your content.
Yeah.
And think about that if you've got 10 employees and they're all doing that, and they're all talking about the company, and the company is in all of their headlines, and they're all got information about the company on their profiles, and they're building that company reputation up. Even if a few of them come and go, it doesn't matter, because you have still learned the skills to empower the next group of people. So if I've taught the whole company, there are other people in the company that can pass that training on to the next person.
Yes.
So you're still investing, you're still getting that benefit.
And it goes back to the rainbow you were talking about earlier, is that just, if you have a small business, like you say, 10 people, well, those 10 people aren't all going to be salespeople. They're going to be the actual people that salespeople try and get people to speak to, the doers, your engineers, your accountants, whatever your business really does, right? unless you're a recruitment agent, but even it's the same thing. You're still trying to pass through to the product, right? And you'll have those ideas and opinions and stuff of them, of why the product's good, or the service, or the thing, or what they're interested in. It shows them as thought leaders, or whatever you want to call it, right?
I hate that word.
Yeah, me too. It really makes me sick.
There are so many words on LinkedIn that just make me like, ugh.
You know why? Because it reminds me of when I worked in corporate. As I said, worked in corporate a long time, and at some point I was working in a contact center, about 17 at 19, somewhere around there, and it became Thought Shower. So Thought Shower, as opposed to like a mind dump, like, what I mean. Brainstorming. So brainstorming, that was it. Brainstorming, because it might be discriminatory, and I couldn't work out how. But Thought Shower, and I was like, you're going to come to that? I don't know, because you don't have a brain. I don't know. And genuinely, from then on, it was like, are you going to come and join this Thought Shower? I can't. I can't. I just won't do it, I'm afraid. So anytime I hear thought leader,
it just reminds me of my son. My son the other day, someone was on the TV, and they were doing like sign language, and he goes, "Mummy, that lady's making finger shapes." That's quite a good description, actually.
She is, yeah, and can communicate him through it as well. Pretty impressive. So big things happening this year, as you said. Stereotype has shut down. It's now full Lea Turner. Lea, well, apologies, never use that surname again. No, but
so Stereotype Limited is still my company.
Yeah.
So that is my limited company, but I am trading under my name.
Yeah.
I've got new branding coming and a new website. In fact, my website designer is frantically emailing and texting me to let me know that things are moving. So my website is probably going to be done and ready within the next few days.
Wow,
which I'm
incredible.
Completely new branding, completely new website, because my old website was very much kind of shoved together as my brand grew. It was kind of like, well, we need to put this on, now we need a shop, and now we need to split it between the two different businesses. So poor Squarespace has absolutely been chopped to bits. So and bless him, he's Giles Tobin, he's a London designer, and his work is just amazing. But I've been I think a pain in his ass just in general. Like, can you do this? Can you do this? And he's like, oh, really, again?
It's not how you build a website.
So, but he's been an absolute star, and I'm so excited to show off what he's come up with. And I think that it's probably the coolest website I've ever seen.
Amazing.
Even though it's like covered in pictures of me, I'm like, yeah, but it looks slick.
But it's so shiny, it's so beautiful. There is nothing better than when a new website. Like, I love that. Like, the problem is give it 12 months.
Stationery book, like,
yeah. Oh, it's got my name on it, and my name at the top and the bottom. Yeah, I know, but it's just the problem is give it 12 months and you're like, God, I hate that website.
No, well, see, this is it. So I've gone with branding that felt, to be totally honest, right? I looked at it and I was like, I am not grown up enough for that. like wearing my mum's high heels when I was 5 years old, right? I felt like that was, oh God, I can't, like, that is slick. That is maybe too slick for me. I said, do you know what? I'm going to grow into it because I love it, but and it feels like me, but it feels like me in maybe a year or so. Amazing. When I've actually gone out into the corporate world and had meetings and drinks and not been in lockdown all the time, where I'm, always in my leggings and a t-shirt.
Sure.
I want to be able to go out and meet all these people that I'm liaising with. I want to go and do a filming day with you guys. Yeah. And I think when I actually feel corporate, because this is the weirdest thing, is that all of this LinkedIn notoriety has occurred during lockdown. So on the few occasions I've actually been allowed out over the past year, I've been recognized, which is weird. But it's like, I haven't actually been out in the real world since all of this happened. I haven't been going to and from London. I haven't been going to meetings. I haven't been doing in-house trainings. I want to do speaking work on stage. And I've had a few really exciting opportunities come forward for that when the world opens up again. So until that happens, it doesn't feel real. It's almost like everything just exists in my computer on my phone. And then when I close my computer on my phone, I'm still picking up puppy poo and being snack bitch for my 5-year-old. Like, nothing has changed.
But that's the hardest thing about being a small business owner. I remember reading an article when we first started GLPro that you go through these different phases of like, great, I'm great at this now, and then the next phase is now how do I learn to step away from that, and I don't get to do that bit anymore, now I don't get to do that. And the more it goes on, it builds out and you get to be less involved, which sucks. Yeah. I used to love going on all the shoots. I can't
wait to do that. I want to be able to, like, I was supposed to have a recording day with you. I was supposed to have a recording day with Mark Gaisford. I was supposed to have meetings in London, and then lockdown all happened again and everything was pushed back, and we don't know when it's all ending this time. And I'm like, I'm ready. I want to go out into the world.
Let me out of this cocoon.
I was at home for 9 years in a corner of my office transcribing, and now like interacting on LinkedIn, and I'm meeting all these amazing people, having all of this respect and admiration from these business type people that I never thought would respect and admire me in a million years. I'm like, I want to go and experience it. Yeah. I want to go meet them for cocktails in London and chat with people that I never have met before.
Yeah,
I want to go and exist in this world that I'm living in the computer.
And
I'm a really sociable person as well. That's like, as you can tell.
I know. I mean,
on
we've had to cancel you coming and doing some filming at ours twice, I think. And each
it.
time I've booked the entire company off for half day because I was like, look, we're gonna have some drinks. There's gonna be some drinks. There's gonna be some party balloons, maybe. There's some fucking pow, what are those things.
I thought you were saying balloons. I was like, are we gonna be huffing nights? I've done that in a few years.
It's not really that kind of office, I'm afraid. Like, we can make an exception if you bring some balloons. Like, oh, geez. Now there's some vulnerable, real, and outside the box LinkedIn content. Lea Turner huffing balloons.
I haven't done that since I was on a Thai beach, I think, and I was convinced the beach was moving.
That'll do it. So while we're still locked down, I know you've got some exciting things coming up where you're going to be able to help a whole load more people.
Yeah.
So tell us about what's coming up.
So at the moment, around obviously Snack Bitch, dog care, and life, I am working on an online course. So that is going to cover all of the basics of LinkedIn, from all the things your profile needs to cover, to how you can best use the algorithm to your advantage, to hashtags, to finding and connecting with the people you want to engage with, who you need to build your network with, to making it fun, to the kind of content. It's really, really, really comprehensive. Like, it's pretty much everything that I cover in my coaching sessions, but without the personalized element to it. I will still be doing those, but that is going to be at a premium price. So I'm hoping that by the end of March, I won't be offering coaching sessions every day. They will be once or twice a week, and they'll be at a premium price.
I mean, like I say, we've put a couple of people through from GLPro through it, and you do so much research. You've looked through so many platforms. You do your homework, right? You do a hell of a lot of homework. Doing one or two of those a week makes much more sense, because I don't know how. I mean, I do know how, because earlier on you're telling me that you used to work in 90-hour days, 90-hour weeks. But so I know how you've been getting the time in, but doing as many coaching sessions as you've been doing one-on-one and delivering the amount of research it's just, I've watched you do it, and I know it's phenomenal.
And responding to all of my LinkedIn content, because I still do all of my own LinkedIn engagement. Nobody touches my LinkedIn account.
Don't you touch my LinkedIn account. I love it.
I would love to, but I'm terrified that I will get in trouble for having somebody run my account for me, because you're not really supposed to do it. So I haven't engaged anybody to do that yet. There will come a time where somebody is going to have to help me with my inbox.
Just to siphon through the messages. Here's the 40% which you need to reply to quickly, and here's 20% you can reply to later, right? Yeah,
exactly. So so that's the first thing that's happening, and then obviously the one-to-ones will go at a premium, and I would really like to consider doing some sort of content creation workshops with people as well.
Nice.
But that's the fun bit to me, teaching people about hashtags and algorithms and how to structure their profile. That's not, I don't mind doing it, because I like meeting and talking to new people, but that's not the bit that gets me excited.
No, but it's a necessary evil of boxes you have to have ticked to then be able to do the fun creative bit. And
the fun creative bit is pointless unless you've got all your ducks in a row and you understand the bones of how it all works. So I love doing it, but I want to be able to do it on a bigger scale. So once the online course is released, I'm going to be working on some other projects. So I've got business interests with other people, which I can't talk about yet. But there's some really potentially exciting stuff that is on the cards. Potential industry-specific masterminds. I'm in talks with some people about doing those. And ultimately, the biggest one for me is public speaking. I want to be getting on stage and explaining to companies the benefits of using person-to-person type networking, whether it's on LinkedIn or at events, of the actual being a real person and bringing your full self to work, and not making your staff dilute themselves and expecting people to be a cookie cutter, and embracing inclusivity and diversity in all its forms. Because I think people focus and I'm not saying that the racial struggle for equality is not important. It is obviously the most important, but I think you need to look at it at a wider. Inclusivity and diversity needs to mean everything. Your physical ability, your mental ability, your medical conditions, skin color, gender, sexuality, the way you choose to present yourself. If you're anything other than straight white man, you still should be treated the same. And I think that's one of the reasons I love working with Luke Manson, is because he represents a misunderstood disability. He's got a condition that people don't get, and
Sure.
when he explains it, people go, oh my gosh, that's actually fascinating, I had no idea. And I feel like people treat me the same, in they expect me to be a certain way because of how they see me, and then who I actually am is not like that. And it makes people go, oh, maybe I should reconsider judging people so quickly. And I love that. And I think everybody needs to be, when companies are talking about inclusivity and diversity, it needs to be everything. It needs to cover every way that you can be diverse.
And the thing is, for cold-hearted, straight up numbers, like, why to do it? Because everyone out there is different. You're always going, going back to what we were talking right at the beginning. It's person to person, and having that range of diversity of your output and giving everyone a voice means that they talk to their tribe, their people, like, their groups of out there.
The biggest pattern of behavior that I see when people come to me for coaching, and it's not part of what I do really, but it has become part of what I do, is lack of confidence to be themselves. And the reason they're attracted to working with me is because they see me as confidently myself. I haven't always been confidently myself. I've got to a point where I don't give a fuck if people don't like me, because I don't have time in my life to give those fucks. Sure. I don't have those spare fucks to give. I don't. I'm busy. So if you don't like me, that's fine. Off you go. But the point for me is that I want everybody to experience how good it feels to just be yourself and not feel like you have to apologize or dilute yourself. And the people that I have helped, and there are loads of them on LinkedIn, Luke is one of them, those people that I've helped to just be themselves, and it's just been like something that I've said or something that I've done, and they've gone, oh gosh, that really resonates. And then they've just walked into the future confidently themselves. It's not immediate, but it builds up, and they realize how good it feels, and they realize how much life, it's almost like a curtain lifts and life is so much better. And they realize that actually the people that they thought didn't like them and the things that they thought would upset them, it doesn't anymore, and their life is drastically improved. And I'd love to be able to do that on a big scale. Ultimately, down the line, I don't want to be training LinkedIn forever. I want to be getting on stage or getting in front of groups of people and saying, it is great to live your life as you and not apologize for it.
I don't know what better message we can end the show on, because hell yeah, Leah, like hell yeah, love that. Absolutely. And what's amazing is your entire message that is, okay, it's focused on LinkedIn, it's had success there, but it's about that. It is about the cross the board and being yourself. It's amazing. So if people want to find you, if somehow they've been living under a rock on the moon, on the dark side, and they haven't found you so far, where's the best place to connect with you?
So you can find me, Lea Turner, on LinkedIn. Lea_Turner_ on Instagram, and Lea Turner on Clubhouse, where I basically live now. I miss music because I don't listen to music anymore. I just always listen to Clubhouse.
Well, hopefully lockdown stops at some point and we can do one of these like we've been trying to do, face to face. And at that point,
yeah,
and at that, well, exactly. And we'll do this show before beers, pre-beers, mid-beers. But we'll dig into Clubhouse and you can tell us how it's been and how much success you got on there. And if it's not if it's not like 6 figures of followers, I'm gonna be pissed, Leah. I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, up to 2,000 and it's only been 3 weeks, so we're all right.
Yeah, bastard. I will see you later, guys. Thank you very much for joining the Jaylee Show.